Hi, we're in installment 9 and chapter 5, which is about personal finance. One area that lends itself particularly well to the Kaizen approach is personal finance. If you want to get rich, then you can do so by using a Kaizen approach and making lots of process fixes to your personal spending. And no, that doesn't mean randomly cutting lattes out of your routine. Wow, lattes seem to be coming in as something not so good, but they aren't. This starts by accurately and dispassionately creating a budget that accurately reflects the cash you have available and how much you want to save or spend. Let me guess, every year, every few months even, you come up with a budget that you intend to stick to and that you expect to help get you back on top of your finances. You limit how much you're going to spend on food, on going out, and on gifts for yourself, and you make a concerted effort not to go above these figures. For the first few days, this probably works just fine. But then a few days later, you find unexpected expenses coming up and catching you out, and you find the money quickly raking up. Before you know it, you've forgotten all about your budget, and by the end of the month, you've spent just as much as normal. Don't feel bad. You're not unusual. In fact, you're much like the majority of everyone else on the planet. That doesn't, of course, though, mean that it's not a problem and not one you need to solve, though. So here are some tips to help you come up with a budget that you will actually stick to. Last time you wrote down how much you could spend on food, did you just pluck this figure out of the air? Most people do, and surprise, surprise, it doesn't work. If you're going to come up with a budget that can actually work, then you need to think about the how, not just the how much. And that means tracking your spending and then thinking about how much you can spend and how much you can really reduce that amount by. Don't just think that you're going to spend 20 quid less or dollars less a week on shopping, but think about how you could do this by buying cheaper milk or by eating out only once every other week, for instance. What's important here is that you're working toward a goal rather than simply making random assertions about how you're going to spend your money. This will then let you assess your accounts honestly and make smart decisions to achieve that goal. You'll almost always find that there are small changes you can make to your spending to make big impacts. But you won't be able to do that until you have a concrete visualization of your income and outgoings. The problem with a budget is that it can't help you when you find yourself losing your rail card and having to buy a new one, or when you lose a tenner. The solution is to simply account for those unexpected. You really should have learned to expect them by now, maybe. Problems by having a buffer of £20 or dollars or so on each budget. In fact, over time you can assess just how much you lose to unexpected losses and then take an average of that number. One easy way to stop yourself overspending is to simply limit the amount that goes into your current account. Don't spend money out of the account you get paid into, but rather just set up a standing order and have a certain amount of your pay packet transferred to another account with no overdraft that you can use for shopping and so on. This will only be as much as your budget, and you can keep what's left over for the next month. meaning that you can't go over the amount you're trying to spend, and meaning that you don't actually have to write everything you've spent down somewhere to make sure you aren't going over. You'll know if you go over because your card will stop working. This is an example of automation, and you can likewise automate the transfer of money from one account to another. But remember that automation, while powerful, can also be dangerous if you make mistakes. That's why it's so important to hone the efficiency of your personal finance system before you set up automatic transfers. Notice how you get better at budgeting when you're saving towards something. Well, you can mimic this effect all year long if you give yourself a little reward for budgeting well. If there's a gadget you want, for instance, say that you can only have it if you save a certain amount by the end of the month. A little added motivation can make a big difference, so work this into your budget and you might find you're a little more inclined to stick with it. The great thing about money is that the rewards can be fun. Tip: there are plenty of apps out there that will let you visualize the spending from all your accounts at once and then provide you with a smart, actionable advice. This can be really helpful when trying to keep track of complicated spending across multiple accounts or cards and cards. This app can show you your spending across most major banks and creditors and break down into useful categories like personal care, eating out, charity, business, and so on. It even includes PayPal. This can be immensely useful for quickly setting realistic targets and seeing areas for micro improvements. This isn't the only app around, but it's one that's worked for me. Here we are again. The take home. Kaizen is once again about making small, easy changes to your routine.
Kaizen,
but the most important part is being smart about it.
In manufacturing,
accurately outlining your spending and then making changes that will have a large impact on your
ideal tool for improving
over
productivity and
Kaizen is about efficiency and cutting.
Instead of
waste.
providing a list of specific changes you can make here, though, which will be different for each person, I will instead outline a way to assess your current workflow and then alter it for the better. The aim is to remove wasted time and energy in your productive day. To do that, you should start by making a note of all the tasks that you complete regularly in a day. This should include everything from booting up the computer to arranging files to actually getting down and dirty with your coding design work or dealing with clients. Now you've identified all these issues, the next trick is to find ways to make each of these tasks faster or more efficient. If you can't eliminate them altogether, that is. A few tweaks like this and you can suddenly find yourself with 5 extra hours a day to play with. But how do you make sure you actually maintain these new productivity rules? How do you avoid letting mistakes and errors creep in that will take up more time? One answer might be to use checklists and flowcharts. In one study looking at the effectiveness of doctors and nurses, it was found that doctors would be far less liable to make serious mistakes when presented with a checklist by the nurses. This was an idea that many doctors were resistant to at first, seeing it as them being checked up on and constantly monitored when they considered themselves capable of working alone. In fact, though, even the most experienced doctors were found to make fewer mistakes when following precise checklists which forced them to pay attention to the smaller details. Flowcharts have exactly the same power. A flowchart is a fantastic tool for very quickly outlining a situation and then providing the very best course of action to get to the preferred solution. In many ways, a manager or a business owner will often work at a checklist, like a flowchart. Staff will come to them with problems and challenges, and they will then reel off solutions and checklists that the team can follow. What this basically means is that a boss can often systemize their business better and remove themselves as an integral part of the workflow simply by using checklists and flowcharts. An example of how this might work could be in a car garage. If you ran an auto repair company, then often you would be using a mental flowchart to diagnose and solve car problems. You'd ask yourself, does this car have X problems? Is it making Y noise? Is it N make and model? By writing this down as a flowchart, all you are effectively doing is giving less experienced staff the ability to come to the same conclusions you would. Likewise, checklists can ensure that as they are working on problems, they will be able to avoid small mistakes. This way, flowcharts and checklists mean that you get asked more questions and are better able to work on your business rather than in your business. What's more, it means that the process from start to finish will be systemized, and that every customer will get the same level of care and attention and the same great treatment.
One concept that
what if your flowcharts and checklists can't do the job?
Is the
then
idea
you
of
look
the
into
life
dealing
hack
with the
or
problem.
the
Otherwise,
biohack.
though, you'll
This is
be
the
bothered
small
much less, and your
lifestyle
business
or
will
health change that
practically
can
run
potentially
itself.
result in far bigger improvements in your life. Some biohackers are nonsense. They promise the world and deliver very little. The same goes for life hacks that look great on Instagram but don't do much for us in real life. Our goal then is to look for the ones that really do work, to incorporate those into our lifestyles. When you feel better, you will perform better in every area. We have always assumed that ambient light is one of the most important factors in determining the quality of our sleep. It follows then that by using lots of devices that emit blue light, we're actually upsetting our external Zeitgeist and ruining our body clocks. Indigenous tribes have no such issues, and thus they presumably would sleep much better as nature intended. In fact, though, when recent research looked at the behaviour of such indigenous humans, they found that they actually slept at entirely different times, often staying up long after dark and not necessarily allowing the daylight to set their biological clocks. So what did set those rhythms? Fascinatingly, the one thing that always remained entirely consistent was that they would start waking up as the temperature bottomed out and began to rise. In short, this may be a more important cue than light when it comes to sleep quality. And here we are using thermostats to completely remove that crucial element. The take home from this: opening your windows slightly might just be the best way you can possibly improve your sleep. That means you'll wake up feeling fresher and be able to get more done as a result. If you want to achieve more with your life, then one of the best and most important things you can do is to wake up at a reasonable time. Start getting up 30 minutes earlier and you will gain 3.5 hours a week to exercise, learn, read, and so on. We need to sleep, of course, so the aim here is not to sleep 30 minutes less. Rather, it's to get rid of that time we waste by hitting snooze. The advice I'm going to give you goes against a lot of what you might have read elsewhere. But stay with me.
Basically, the simple hack is to pick up your phone when the alarm goes and spend some time looking at it. While many gurus will tell you that picking up your phone will negatively affect your hormone levels and that it will put you in a reactive state of mind, this isn't entirely true. Your phone won't put you in a reactive state if you turn off notifications and don't check email. Just enjoy reading the news or something, and the hormone effect is actually just what you want. The bright screen encourages the production of the neurotransmitter cortisol, which helps us wake up. More important though is that it also is a great way to get up. Excuse me. So why? Because most of us enjoy looking at our phones. In fact, we're a little addicted. Thus, the emotional pull to reach for them is strong enough to override serious tiredness, especially if you have something good lined up. At the same time, looking at the phone is a small step toward getting up that is much easier than getting out of bed entirely. If you just take this small step, it will often be enough to bring you around so that you can then go one step further. So set your alarm for 15 minutes earlier than you want to get up, and when it goes off, reach for your phone or tablet and then enjoy reading some news. In 15 minutes, you'll be ready to start the day. Supplements can help to support health in important ways. Is it true that you can get everything you need from your diet? Of course, but most of us don't. And so to be on the safe side, it's often better to pop a pill. The kinds of supplements I'm talking about are completely natural substances that should always have been part of our diet. Substances have been shown to increase alertness, energy levels, and overall health. By taking these, you will find that you feel a bit more awake in the mornings, that you are less likely to pick up colds or flu, that your brain is a little sharper, and that you'll sleep better. But doing that, you'll find that every other activity you engage in benefits. It's a simple change that helps to make all subsequent change easier and more effective. Here is a simple supplements that can considerably increase or elevate your mood, your brain health, and your energy levels. Do you ever find yourself lacking inspiration? Do you ever feel as though you don't have the interest to focus on the thing you're meant to be doing rather than the thing you should be doing? Inspiration is a highly valuable and abstract commodity. Fortunately, you can get more of it in a few ways. One is to listen to audio books while you do chores or go for walks. This puts your brain in a more focused state, and if the book is something you find interesting, then you will be more focused and creative as a result afterwards. I got interrupted. The mistake we make is to watch junk on TV or to browse Facebook. This meaningless content puts us in a far less productive and useful state of mind. So choose carefully what is it you want to spend your time focusing on. Dressing to impress. It's a simple life hack, but just by changing the way you dress, you can have huge repercussions in the way you feel and the way others respond to you. If you wear clothes that you usually use to lie around in the house in, you will feel less productive and be less likely to get lots of useful work done as a result. Moreover, you will find that others don't treat you like a professional. Wear smart clothes and you will feel more productive and focused. You will likewise find that others are more likely to want to work with you. This is an example of wasting a little time by spending a little longer getting ready that ultimately proves to be an investment in the long run. Kaizen isn't only about pruning then, as you can see. Intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting has a huge range of potential benefits. It can help us to lose weight, and thanks to a process called autophagy, might even have life extension benefits. What's more though, is that it also improves energy and focus by putting our bodies in a more alert, fine food state, and actually saves a lot of time that we normally spend preparing breakfast.
Throughout this series, and I will continue. Kaizen is all about improving efficiency and optimizing your workflow and lifestyle to achieve more. This is a great way to approach your lifestyle, but it can also have its drawbacks. After all, if you ever do, whatever you do is to make your lifestyle more and more efficient, you'll eventually miss out on the simple things in life. Relaxing on the couch with your partner or watching junk TV. We disagree, and we believe that for Kaizen to work, you also need to find balance. How about going out with friends for drinks? Some self-help books will tell you that you should completely cut these kinds of waste activities out, that you should grind and grind and grind to achieve the things you want. If your only focus is your work, then you'll lose inspiration. Try to think of yourself as a kind of input-output machine. Watching films and playing games isn't a waste of time. It's a source of inspiration and creativity. If you only output, then you'll eventually run out of steam and run out of creative juices. It's why you often do your best work when you return after a few days off. Likewise, spending time with other people and relaxing is a very important way to recharge. Your energy is a finite resource. It's also a very important skill worth cultivating in its own right. The success of these days is determined very much by soft skills and the ability to get on with anyone and to be the life of a party can actually get you a very long way, and being able to just switch off is a crucial survival skill. I will add that just because your energy levels are finite does not mean that you end with those energies. That's why recharging is so important. You recharge to increase your energy for the next day. Staying positive. Some of the most valuable attributes for an entrepreneur, an athlete, or anyone else working toward a far-off vision are positivity, persistence, and self-confidence. You need to be able to take your lumps when things don't turn out the way you hoped, and you need to be able to jump straight back on that horse. If you have a large network of friends and family that you love and trust, hobbies that you can't wait to spend more time on, and the ability to sometimes just relax, then staying positive becomes much easier. And that gives you the optimism and courage to try it all over again. How much better do you feel after a day with friends? These experiences are the stuff that life is made of, and it's nourishing for the soul. If your business, your training, or your art are all you have, then a setback in this area of your life can be devastating. You might just give up entirely. Make the most of now. While it might sound a little morbid, the last thing to remember is that you never know what's just around the corner. You might not make it to the age where you get to enjoy the fruits of your labour. Thus, you may never get to enjoy that indulgent lifestyle or rebuild those relationships. Give yourself permission to do it now. And the irony is that most of us wouldn't enjoy a lifestyle of pure relaxation and decadence either. I love writing and learning and training, and I plan never to retire. We are happiest when we find balance. Working toward a goal gives us purpose. The journey is often more exciting than the destination anyway. While spending time with friends and family or taking a moment to read a good book will keep us grounded. As any Stoic might point out, many of us will strive hard toward an obscure notion of success, so much so that we miss out on the opportunity to be happy right now. In fact, traditional success often just makes it harder to spend time with friends or pursue pet projects. Stop and take a look around. You've probably got an awful lot to be proud of already. If you never take the time to enjoy the life you've already built, you'll probably never be satisfied, and any success that comes will have far less meaning for you. So I guess all I'm trying to say is this: don't feel guilty the next time you take the evening off to be with your family, or the next time you pig out on a piece of cake, whatever productivity gurus might say. This is an important mission, and it's a mission in itself. To conclude then, Kaizen is an incredibly powerful tool. When used correctly, it can completely transform your life by helping you to stop wasting time and energy on small things. You can improve your budget, your health, your physique, and your productivity, but remember to take the evening off every now and then too. Also, give yourself permission to do so.